how nature keeps us connected to all of life. And I know that we are connected with all of life. I know that we are nature itself. We are the essence of nature itself. But we don't always remember this when we're confronted with politics, manufactured food, and weather, and how we feel about the weather. So we forget. We've separated ourselves when we engage the concept of this quotation from the Bible. Now, I don't often quote from the Bible, but I think this is an important verse. And this is from Genesis. God created man in his own image. He blessed them, and he said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over every living thing that moves on the surface of the earth." I totally disagree with this. I mean, totally. So I just want to, but I think it's important because it reflects the history of what we've been offered and what we have subscribed to for 2,000 years, for 4,000 years. And we still think that we are owners of the earth, and we still think we're owners of all the parts of the earth. We still think, as humanity, we think we're owners of every aspect, everything that walks, everything that moves. We think we own it, and we think we should manipulate it to what we want. And we've successfully destroyed many things that could be very useful to us as we go on to live on this earth and share it with other parts of humanity and other animals and plants. There are animals and plants in the Brazilian rainforest that we've not even named or discovered. And there are so many animals and plants disappearing from the earth as we subdue it. So God did not write that part of the Bible. As much as we would like to think, oh God.
Who did write that part of the Bible?
But it's the fear. What we do know is that every single indigenous community on the earth, from the Eskimos to the rainforest Indians, not indigenous people, not Indians, they're not Indians, native people in the Americas. We do know that they cooperated with nature to produce and reproduce, and they managed to keep things going for hundreds and thousands of years without the incredible changes that we educated people, we religious people have put into the earth. So there were a couple books that I really loved that I used. Nature Speak. I think this was Joy's book at one point. Was it?
Yeah.
It's just full of signs, omens, and messages in nature. Fabulous. It talks about the environment and how we relate and relationships to it. The Findhorn Garden, which is a very powerful book. I'm sure all of you know about the Findhorn experiment in northern Scotland. Peter Caddy, Eileen Caddy, and Dorothy McLean were led to begin this community in northern Scotland on sandy, windy, shrubby, no trees, no grass, and wind-blown and cold northern Scotland. And with careful, very careful cooperation, listening to the spirits of the animals, listening to the spirits of the garden, listening to the spirits of all of nature, all of the parts of nature. They created a garden that was unsurpassed in modern experience. They created 40-foot cabbages. Imagine 40-foot cabbages and 8 feet foxgloves. Foxgloves are tall, but they're only this tall normally. But they managed to use advice from the divas and the nature spirits, and they made compost from the seaweed that they gathered off the ocean. And it was a very powerful message to us that we can cooperate with nature. And the Findhorn community is still active today in educating people and maintaining the gardens, although they don't grow 40-foot cabbages. It was interesting in the early 70s. I had this notion to go to northern Scotland. I did not, but I would have loved to have seen those gardens, because I grew up in a family that really had to, we had to grow our own food, and we did. We grew animals and we killed animals. We grew our own food, we preserved our own food, we had a giant freezer. And we ate dandelions first thing in the spring, and we never did eat nettles, but last year I put some gloves on, went out and gathered nettles, and they're about this tall right now, and you need to gather them when they are young and with gloves. But as soon as you begin to steam nettles, they become like wilted and spinach, and there's no poison left. It transforms, and this is true of many plants. They become non-poisonous when we cook them, or something like that. So I'm going to read a couple of things from the Findhorn Garden, and I'm going to talk about some aspects of nature that keep us connected. To place the emphasis on the form of the experiment rather than the essential message would be to miss the point. God, the divas, and the nature spirits are all aspects of one life, the same life we are expressing. They are in fact within us, and each of us has the power to work with these forces to create heaven on earth. Recognizing this and acting upon it was the challenge of the gardeners were facing in 1974, the challenge of a change in consciousness. And they really did have to change. Together with minerals, plants, and animals, we make up the body and consciousness of a single living organism, the earth. We move within this body, intricately related to and dependent on every other part of it. So I want to talk about what I thought some aspects of nature that keep us connected. Nature is healing. Rachel Carson, in her book Silent Spring, wrote, "Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter." And of course, she's talking about the cycles of the seasons, the cycles of our bodies. I know that when winter comes, I don't go out as much. And I'm going most of the time in the cold. I just do that. And that's just a symbol of what nature is doing. And we are nature itself. Talking about healing. This time of year, my connections with nature are reawakened because it's spring, and I hope that's true for all of you. And that's why I'm giving a talk like this. So you can go out and appreciate and love and connect with nature even more. I like to walk barefoot in the grass and breathe the warm spring air, as you all do. And when I hear myself complaining about the rain, I hear myself complain. We are the rain. We're 70%, 60 or 70% water. It's a good time to be a child again. And reawakening the child within us reawakens our innocence, and it takes away the stress of our lives. We are more than we think. We are all of it. We are nature expressed. Growing plants, growing things. Let's grow things. Any of us can grow things on our windowsills or in our gardens. It doesn't have to be a big deal. But herbs, I think of herbs as nature's vitamins. And just concentrated. Herbs are very concentrated plants, and they are very strong, good food for us. So growing things from seeds. Now, we know how many seeds are in an apple, but do we know how many apples are in a seed? Think about that. All of the sounds of nature are music. And to me, music is just the vibration that our bodies are. Music is the vibration of all of God's creatures. All of nature has a vibration. And when we think of nature, when we feel part of nature, we are raising our vibrations, and we are healing our bodies when we are feeling the part of nature that is us, which is all of nature. And silence, we can't forget silence. Sometimes you're listening for something, and there's nothing there. There's nothing there. But at the same time, everything is still vibrating. And silence is the pause between the music of our lives. And it's as equally as important as every other aspect of our lives. It is hard to live without sound because we're missing a vibration that is strong, is good, heals profoundly. Pets, our pets, nature in our pets. Very important part of healing are animals that we keep around us. And birth and death, aspect of nature that keep us connected. And that's something that we hear of not too often. Doesn't happen too often close to us, but does happen, death as well as birth. And it's part of so much a part of life. We shouldn't try to separate death from what is living. And because I believe that in death we only leave behind our body, and that the people who die are still with us. I mean, where would they go? And that heaven is truly what we create for ourselves. It's not somewhere that we go. I don't believe that heaven is somewhere where we go. And that we may not be able to perceive the presence of spirits, whether they are nature spirits or whether they are the friends who have left us behind. I believe that if you're happy in your life, then you're really happy in your death. That whatever you have created for yourself here and now is what you carry with you, wherever you go, wherever you go. So above all nature is spirit. And when I was a child, I was literally chased out of the house. And I remember one time when I was 3, I remember it specifically, I went across the road and to the creek, and I got punished for that. So it went, but the creek pulled me. Nature was everything. Nature became everything, because in my house, inside my house, it was not a safe place. There was lots of yelling. That's what I remember. So that nature became my home. Nature became the energy I lived with, the energy I created. So nature was my first spiritual reality, and I could not, I can't leave that behind. I've still got that reality with me. Still have that. So what was interesting was the quotation that Esther read, that I was going to read to you from Neil Donald. So maybe I'll find something from Nature Speak. Most people look for the sacred in the unusual and the often dramatic supernatural experience. But the irony is that the divine mysteries are found in the ordinary, the mundane, and the natural aspects of life, softly whispering to us. I had a quotation from Alice in Wonderland. Here it is. I wonder if the snow loves the trees and fields, that it kisses them so gently, and then it covers them up, snug, you know, with a white quilt. And perhaps it says, "Go to sleep, darlings, till the summer comes again." Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And I think now it is time for open mic.